I almost didn't have my headphones on there. Yeah, Jared counted me in, and now I'm sitting over here reading show notes with my headphones off. Shame on me.
I just wanted to see how fast he could move.
Okay, haha. Well, I got my headphones on, and my official studio headphones, and we are ready to rock this one right out of the park. Now, you read the
Speaking of parks, did you see that they're building a baseball stadium?
Yeah.
Or did you? You're the one that told me that, aren't you?
Yeah. Downtown Biloxi, right across from the Beau Rivage, the jewel of the Gulf Coast.
Yeah, I just sorry, ADD moment.
No, that's cool. We're gonna have a minor league baseball team stadium in Biloxi. So come on down in 2015 and watch them play. Now, as we said at the very beginning of the first part of this week's episode, in segment 1, we have so much to talk about. And when this story broke, I was literally just pacing back and forth, waiting for the opportunity to come to the microphone. And that is one of the things about having a weekly show is, by the time you hear this, it may be old news to you, but we're going to go ahead and do it anyway. And the irony in this story is just so sweet. It is so delicious. The irony is so delicious that it's sickening almost. It's like if you sat down at your kitchen table and you had a big old Reese's Hershey's chocolate bar, and you're like, you know what? That was good, but I need more. And then you get a big old bowl of ice cream, and it's so sweet. And then you get a piece of pie, and you're like, okay, those things were all good, and they're all delicious, but they're sickening. It's just, I can't take anymore. And this story, I'll tell you, I really try to stay away from California communistic politics. We know. People say, well, what do you think about this in California? And I say, they're all insane, and you need to get out of there and stop giving them your money. That's pretty much what we have to say about that. Well, what do you think about Cal Guns and their fight to blah, blah, blah? I think you need to get out of there and stop giving them your money. Well, well, you don't understand, Paul. All right, whatever. I don't understand. It's good to stay there and pay ridiculous, insane. I was talking to a buddy of mine who actually has a business in California, and I said, dude, what's up? And he's like, I know. I said, how's that tax rate for you? I said, is it like rape? And he's like, no. He goes, did you ever see the TV show Oz? He goes, the tax rate, it's not really rape. It's more like prison rape. He said, that's what the taxes are like in California. But here we've got our new friend, Mr. Leland Yee, and we would be remiss if we did not welcome Leland to the Student of the Gun Radio with our special Slave State News theme song.
I like to teach you all the rules. I get to see them set in stone. I like it when you chain me to the bed, but then you see which nail the show.
Now, you hipsters out there, you know that the name of that song is Control from Puddle of Mudd, right? And what do we know about anti-gun people? Do anti-gun people want all guns in the world to be destroyed, dismantled, melted down, made into flower pots or Volkswagens? Is that what they want? Really? Legitimately? No. You know this. If you know anything, is that the anti-gun crowd, the gun control crowd, they really don't have a problem with members of the state possessing guns. That's okay. The state is allowed to have, military-style hardware. That's all right. It's okay for your local municipal police department or your sheriff's department. They can have military-style hardware, but you peasants can't. And you say, well, what about criminals? What about criminals and guns? And they say, well, there's nothing you can do to stop criminals from breaking the law. So, it doesn't really affect them. Well, then who do these new gun control laws, who do they affect if not the criminals or the state? Oh, you peasants. Yeah, we can't allow you peasants to have swords. Only the state can have the swords, and the bandits. We know that the bandits have swords, and we know that the state has the swords, but you peasants just can't be allowed. Gun control is not about guns. It is about control. It's about controlling you. It's about controlling who possesses the guns, not whether or not they exist. It's who has them. And our buddy Leland Yee, this is so crazy. And I know our California friends you've been kind of excited. It's been like Mardi Gras in California for Cal Guns and all those folks out there because they've detested this turd for a long, long time. And this turd, Leland Yee, apparently he didn't just want to be a state senator. He wanted to be, I guess, the next attorney general. And he was trying to funnel some more money into his coffers there, trying to build up his political campaign. And he was working with, a known Chinese gangster named Shrimp Boy. What a cute little gangster name we got out there. So we got Leland Yee, who's tied in with the Chinese mafia in San Francisco. No problem there. Who's working on, let me see, what was Shrimp Boy, what were they tied into? Let me see. Murder for hire, racketeering, and let me see, arms trafficking? What? That can't be possible. And I know that can't be possible because here's what I know. I know that in 2006, the ninnies and the scumbags over at the Brady campaign, they honored Leland Yee. For what? What did they honor him for? They were the Brady campaign was proud to honor Leland Yee for violence prevention. That's right. He got a special recognition from the Brady campaign for gun violence prevention. I'm laughing so hard. They put him on their honor roll. So Leland Yee is on the Brady campaign's honor roll. Way to go, Leland. And as a matter of fact, Leland had this to say.
It is extremely important that individuals in the state of California do not own an assault weapon. I mean, that's just so crystal clear. There's just no debate, no discussion.
So, you have no business owning military-style hardware. You have no business owning guns that look like mean, evil assault rifles. You peasants have no business owning or possessing those. But according to the FBI's informant, they got Leland Yee on tape discussing importing not just semi-automatic AR-15s, no, actual select fire assault rifles and, drumroll, shoulder-fired rocket launchers from the Philippines, importing them, smuggling them into the United States for the Chinese mafia. So the gun control poster child is working with the mafia to smuggle military hardware into the hands of Chinese gangs in California. I need a drink of water because the irony is so sickening.
Well, you know that the Chinese gangsters were probably holding him hostage and making him do it.
No, they were funneling a ton of money into his re-election campaigns. That's what they were doing.
You mean money?
Money?
He did it for money? And
What?
votes and what?
Oh, no. Democrats don't care about money, Jared. They're just in it for the good of the people. They're just in it for the good of the people.
I can see that.
Yeah. So, but, and off air, we were talking about this, and it's not just we pro, Bill of Rights, pro Second Amendment, pro gun type people. It's not just us that think Leland Yee is a turd. There's another group or organization of people that also think that Leland Yee is a turd, because what do we know? It's not good enough to control the hardware that you possess. That's not good enough. We have to control the media and the images that you see, because you peasants can't be trusted to view or see certain things. So, and it's so disingenuous. It is so sophomoric. It's so, these politicians, they jump on these with what they think in their area is points that cannot be argued against. So they wrap themselves, they cloak themselves in these fake, projects or promotions or causes, so that they can garner the votes of you idiot reasonable people out there. All the, well, I know nothing about that, but that sounds reasonable, so I think I'll support Leland Yee for his next election campaign. Leland Yee was a big and we get this one. So what you've got right now this week, all your pro Second Amendment websites, your guns.com, your ammoland.com, your shootingwire.com, all the pro Second Amendment websites have got the Leland Yee story up, right? Well, guess which other culture has the Leland Yee story up? The video game culture. And this comes to us from techdirt.com. And I can only imagine that the guys over at Rooster Teeth are going to be yakking this up this week if they haven't already. And the title of their story is Anti-Game Violence Crusader Leland Yee arrested on charges of bribery, corruption, and, drumroll please, arms trafficking. And then it says, quote, but aren't you the guy pushing for moral, and aren't you the moral superiority guy pushing for restrictions on violent video games? And if you go and duck Leland Yee and you come up with, he apparently did one or more anti-video game speeches, and they handed him his handlers, his little aides, gave him some Xbox games to hold up. And we've got the picture here, and he's holding up 3 games, and he's got them spread out like a deck of cards so that the reporters can take pictures of them. And it was Red Dead Revolver, or Red Dead Redemption, which is the sequel to Red Dead Revolver, which is an adult video game. It's not for sex, but you know what I mean. And then Assassin's Creed, and then the last one was one of the copies of GTA, Grand Theft Auto. And he gave this big, we need to restrict the availability and blah, 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 and hold people responsible. Well, many of you, if you're a hardcore Paul Markle reader, if you've been reading my stuff, I did an article about, 7 years ago, Jared, about video games, on visual acuity and so forth. He's out there.
Yeah, I was just thinking about the PS2 thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I actually I did an article about it, and one of the things I said, look, this whole video game thing, let's face, and I know this really is going to burst some of your bubbles, because in your mind it seems reasonable that the reason that kids are misbehaving is because of the availability of violent video games. Well, maybe if you didn't ignore your kid and plunk them down in front of the TV for 12 hours playing, well, maybe that'd be, but folks, I was raised watching the Three Stooges. And when I was a kid, there were moms, and even my mom was kind of one, but she wasn't super hardcore about it, that, these kids shouldn't be watching the Three Stooges. Because what did the Three Stooges do? It was nothing but poking each other in the eyes and bonk, and hitting each other with the hammers and the mallets and the bed. And you know what I never did? I never took a ball-peen hammer and hit my brother in the head with it. Why? But you saw it. And I saw it hundreds of thousands of times. But you know what I also had, in addition to watching the Three Stooges in black and white on TV on Channel 50 in Detroit, Michigan? Guess what else I also had? I had 2 loving parents who cared for me, took me to church, taught me about morality. We weren't Amish. And we weren't extremists. We weren't lunatic doomsday preppers. We were just a family. We were a family. I had 2 parents who cared about me and my brother and sister. And actually took us to church. Actually taught us right versus wrong. You can't, there's no absolutes in life. There's no right, there's no wrong. It's just what you want to do. That is exactly why kids today are a bunch of freaking monsters. Because you, maybe not you, but your friends and family and neighbors are raising their kids with this moralistic whatever thing. And I know I'm kind of off on a tirade, but the video games. But my point is this: when I did the article, they have research that states that the median age of the video game purchasers or systems purchasers was, I believe at the time, 34. Now, how many of you guys know the difference between average and median? I know I see your brain smoking out there. Jared, what is the difference between the average and the median age?
Well, an average age would be an average between everybody. Mm-hmm. You take everybody and do the average. The median would be the middle.
No, the median age means there's just as many people over that age as there are under that age.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Go. Okay.
That would be the middle.
The median, yeah.
Yeah, the middle.
So the median age is 34. So when you guys, and I know that there's some of you out there, and God, bless your little hearts, that are like, oh, it's the video games. It's the video games. No, it's not the video games. It's what else goes on in the kids' lives. But the fact that you're like, hey, folks, all right, we talk about money. Money is money. If you really, why do you think there are so many rated M for mature games? Because the people that are manufacturing, creating these games, they know that their core audience isn't 12. Their core audience is 34, 40, 28. That's their core audience. Do you think a 28-year-old should be allowed to play Red Dead Redemption or Assassin's Creed if they want to? No, can't allow a 33-year-old to play that. They can't see it. So we just thought that this whole Leland Yee story, we thought it was really kind of, we're joking that it's kind of an elves and dwarves alliance now that we have. We have the techno geek people crowd, the Silicon Valley game designer crowd who despise Leland Yee. And then we have the hardcore Second Amendment pro-gun people on our side who despise him too. So, maybe we should get together. We should get together and have a pro-Second Amendment, pro-video game party, or an Elves and Dwarves alliance, and maybe we can finally defeat the evil progressive orc army. What do you think, Jared?
Are we going to go to Mordor?
We might as well.
One does not simply walk into
That's
Mordor.
Right. One does not simply make memes today without using, what's this, Michael Biehn? Or is that his name? Is that the actor that they always use in that? Michael Biehn? Anyway, whoever that is. No, not Michael Biehn. Sean. It's Sean Bean. Sean something? Whatever. Write me a letter. All right, I've got a homework assignment for you guys on this whole Leland Yee thing. Now, we obviously are talking about it. All the pro-gun sites are talking about it. But how about your quote-unquote mainstream media? Ask yourself this, and be honest. How much coverage is ABC, CBS, NBC, CNN, how much coverage are they given this story? And in addition, there was 3 or 4 other highly placed Democrat politicians that have either been indicted they're under a federal indictment. They were forced to resign this week, and we're getting crickets out of the drive-by media there.
The last time I checked, most of the media was covering the stupid Colbert report. They want to cancel the Colbert report because he allegedly made a racist tweet.
Colbert?
Whatever. I don't know.
I think he pronounced his name Steve. He's kind of a douche nozzle anyway.
I think it is Colbert.
What did he do? Oh, did he say something against Obama?
It was racist.
Comrade Barry?
Yeah, obviously.
Well, if you say anything that goes against what progressives think, that's racist. So, I mean, if you're Caucasian and a black person attacks you with a baseball bat and you defend yourself, you are the racist. Or anyone that doesn't have the same skin tone, if you defend yourself against them, you are a racist. So, sorry for that. But the Christie thing. Yeah. The whole Leland Yee deal is going up. We have an anti-gun, anti-violent video game Brady campaign honor roll person who gets busted for arms trafficking, for attempting to funnel military hardware to the Chinese mafia in California. And what does CNN want to talk about? Oh, let's talk about Chris Christie and the the bridge gate. Yeah, there were some lane closures, and we need to delve deeper into that. Really? A 5-month-old story? Yeah, the 5-month-old story leads because what? Come on, folks. Sitting out there in your reasonable chair thinking that there's no agenda, that they're just telling me what I need to know. Really? Do you believe that? Do your friends still believe that? Go to studentofthegunradio.com and pull some of these links off and talk about them with your friends. Say, hey, did you know this? And they'll be like, what? I watched MSNBC this weekend and they never mentioned that. Well, you're a dork and stop watching MSNBC, but I digress. So moving right on. We got a story out of, and you guys probably have been watching this. If you follow any of the gun related, firearms related blogs or what have you, or even the Washington Times. Now, there's a woman, and her name is Amy Miller. You may know it's Amy Miller, right? Emily Miller. Sorry, Emily. Emily Miller. And Emily Miller wrote a book called Emily Gets Her Gun, and it was all about her attempt living in the District of Columbia to purchase a gun lawfully in the district. Now, we know that because of the Heller decision that they struck down D.C.'s ban on the possession of handguns in the city. But they're not going to go so quietly there in D.C. It's like, yeah, on the face of it, on paper, you can own a gun. But you can't just go out and buy guns all willy-nilly. And you can't just own guns like whatever you want. You have to get special permission from the city to get a gun. And you have to not only that, but did you know that you have to have special permission to have ammunition? And you have to have the appropriate papers. Think of Nazi Germany, think of East Berlin. You have to have the papers. So let's say you purchase and register a 9mm handgun. And so you are allowed to possess ammunition for that gun and that gun only. You're like, but that makes no sense, Paul. If all I have is a 9mm handgun and I had 38 special, so you're telling me I could get, yeah, you didn't know? If you have ammunition for a gun that is not registered to you, that's against the law. And you're like, what? All right, all of you people sitting out there in your sane chairs, all of you out there in America who live in sane states, who live in free America, you're thinking, what in the name of all that's holy are you talking about? Well, let me tell you. This story starts with the disgruntled ex-wife and an anonymous call. Well, Mr. Mark Witashek, it's Witaschek, Witashek. We're going to pronounce it Witashek. Mark, if I'm pronouncing it wrong, forgive me. Mr. Mark Witashek is a prominent businessman. He's a lawful citizen. He is not. You know what, Jared? If Mark Witashek was working for the Cali cartel, he'd be down. If he was a member of the cartel, he could get AKs, ARs, anything he wanted, and they would just funnel it directly through the Department of Justice and the ATF, to him, and he would be good to go, and he wouldn't be prosecuted. But since he's actually a business owner and a responsible citizen in D.C., we gotta get these people. We gotta take care of these people. They are. Business owners like Mark Witashek are obviously a threat to society. Well, what is the dangerous threat that Mark posed? Well, an anonymous call, and we believe, I believe the story goes in it. There was an estranged spouse that he had unlawful or unregistered firearms. Right. So how does this all start? It all starts with a bullcrap warrant where they're looking for unregistered firearms. If you still live in a state where they ask you or request you or require you to register your guns to get on a gun registry, you're insane. You are insane, and you need help. If you still consider yourself a Second Amendment supporter, a patriot, someone who loves and protects the Constitution, and you live in a state where you think it's okay for the state to require you to get a card that says what you're allowed to own, you're insane. You have a mental problem and you need help. Go to studentofthegun.com and we'll start your rehabilitation very soon. So what did they garner in this sting, in this sweep, in this SWAT raid on this business owner? They found a shotgun shell. What? A shotgun shell with a dented primer, a misfired shotgun shell. And make whatever shotgun jokes you want to make. Go ahead, feel free. And they found muzzleloader bullets for a Knight's Armament muzzleloader. And you're like, oh, well, where was they had the gun? No, he didn't have the gun. It was somewhere else. So you're saying, okay, Paul, I'm sitting out here in Iowa and I'm listening to you on my podcast. And what you're telling me is that a man was arrested and charged because he had a single shotgun shell and some projectiles, some muzzleloader bullets. Not that, because it's not powder. And it said, well, how many kegs of powder did he have? Oh, none. Paul, I don't believe you. I don't believe that in the United States of America that attorneys, that prosecuting attorneys would get involved and spend tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars of taxpayer money to prosecute someone for the possession of a shotgun shell and copper-plated bullets. You'd think that, and you'd think I'm a liar if it wasn't for the WashingtonTimes.com story. And Emily Miller has been following this story since the very beginning. Now, here's the capper on this. Emily Miller exclusive, shock verdict. Mark Wittishek guilty of possessing muzzleloader bullets in D.C. What? Yes. This story is insane. It reeks of insane. Apparently, the judge in the case, they presented him with the evidence, the shotgun shell with a dented primer. And according to the story, the judge couldn't figure out whether or not it was a live piece of ammunition. And actually, it says that he picked it up in his hands and he shook it by his ear to try and hear if there was powder in it. And then they wanted to cut it open and look inside, but they were advised by the experts that was too dangerous and they needed to send it off to a lab to be examined. Now, this is, of course, after they've had this shotgun shell in the possession of the state for months as evidence. Yes, somewhere in D.C., there is an evidence baggie that has a shotgun shell with a dented primer in it. So they scramble to try and find a lab that can real quick determine whether or not this is, but they can't find it, right? So the judge sets the shotgun shell part aside. All right, we're not going to talk about that. Let's talk about these things, these bullet things. So what do we have? We have some, I believe it's 45 caliber Knight's Armament muzzleloading bullets with the little plastic sabos that you use to load them. The judge finds him guilty of the attempted possession of unregistered ammunition. And you say to yourself, I'm a pretty bright guy, Paul. I know what an ammunition is. What is ammunition? What is a cartridge? What does it consist of? Well, you've got a case, you have a powder, you have a primer, and you have a projectile. And when you have that, you have a cartridge of ammunition that can actually be dropped into the receiver of a firearm and go boom. Can muzzleloader bullets in and of themselves go boom? Pretty sure no, not last time I checked. So what has essentially happened in D.C., in the District of Columbia, the cradle of constitutional liberty here in the United States of America, cough, cough, we have a judge that has found a man guilty of possession of unregistered ammunition because he had some objects, some conical shaped objects that were, spherical and looked as if they could be loaded into an quote. And here's the crazy thing. In DC, an antique firearm is not illegal to own. You can own a muzzleloader in DC.
Maybe we should have had John Bates for the judge on this one. At least he would have used some analytical thought.
Yeah, it says crazy. It says Judge Morin shook the plastic shell trying to listen to determine what. It's like, are you kidding me? And everyone who's read this story is like, here's what you do, Sparky. That plastic part on the shell, you take your buck knife, you open it, and you twist it around on the blade, and you open it up and you look inside. Are you kidding? You know how dangerous that is? It could detonate and explode right in your hand and kill you and thousands of others. Are you crazy? Apparently, Judge Morin doesn't know how to make a field expedient slug out of birdshot. Wink, wink, nod, nod. You guys know what I'm talking about. If you don't, you shouldn't know. So, all right. Well, on one hand, the judge sentenced him to time served, which was nice of him. Well, we've already screwed you over and had you in the custody of the state. So we're going to sentence you to time served, and it was a $50 fine. And you're like, oh, okay. Well, that's not bad. Well, and in addition to that, what this business owner, an upstanding citizen, other than attempting to possess unregistered ammunition, he has to register with the Metropolitan Police's Firearms Offender Registry within 48 hours of the decision. And we follow Emily Miller via Twitter and so forth. And she actually she did an update, and I believe she was with, because she's been actually following the story exclusively the whole time through. She went with Mark down to the Metro PD, where he was booked and photographed, and he is now on a Firearms Offenders Registry. And why is that? Because he attempted to smuggle AK-47s across the border to the Cali cartel? No, because he had some copper-coated lead in his possession.
I was trying to find the Firearms Offenders Registry, like the registry. You know how they have a sex offenders registry?
Yeah.
I can't find the
It says it's not public.
Oh, okay.
It says according to the Emily's story, it says that the Firearms Offenders Registry is not public. However, the data and information is available to the state.
So what? Okay, they're trying to protect the children with these gun laws, right? So why is this only accessible to the state?
Why you peasants think you need to know?
Well, because there are children
No,
that you are
no,
trying to
only-
protect.
So basically, it's the state. The state creates this registry. So I'm assuming that in the District of Columbia, that probably the number one person on this list is Eric Holder, right? And the head of the ATF. Both of them are on the Firearms Offenders Registry list in D.C. You think, Jared?
I'm going to go with no.
Well, yeah, I suppose funneling thousands of guns to Mexican drug gangs is probably not as big of a deal as having a misfired shotgun shell in your possession. We can't, folks, we cannot allow peasants to walk around with misfired shotgun shells in their possession. What is this? The Wild West? What is this? Mad Max? Beyond Thunderdome? We're not going beyond Thunderdome here. You cannot be allowed to own conical-shaped projectiles that would go in a muzzleloading rifle. Can't allow it. So all of you people out there that still have friends and relatives that think, no, come on now. I know some of the laws might seem extreme to you, but we need to understand. You need to be reasonable. And for the other crowd, and a lot of times our crowd, when something goes wrong, they say, well, they might have arrested him, but he'll never get convicted. I don't know about that. Would he have gotten convicted where you live? Are you going to and when you have a quote unquote registry, what happens? All you folks out there that live up in the Northeast, and you think that it's reasonable to get a government permission slip to own a gun. And I'm not talking about carrying a gun. We can talk about that another time. I'm talking about the actual ownership. If you have to get permission from the state to buy a gun or ammunition, such as a FOID card. People are like, what's a FOID card? A firearms owner's identification card. Yes, in Illinois, you cannot buy ammunition unless you have a special permission slip from the state. I'm not talking about carrying guns. They're like, well, there's no difference in a FOID card than a concealed carry permit. Oh, I beg to differ, Sparky. And if that is your reasoning and your defense, I don't even know what to say to you. Have fun listening to NPR. Go listen to Rachel Maddow. But, folks, it's insanity. You need to know about it. You need to educate yourself about it. You need to tell your friends and relatives, and you need to be aware of it. And sticking your head in the March Madness brackets or the Dancing with the Stars or spending all day and night trying to figure out what happened to Malaysian Air 12345 does not help this nation. It's crumbling, it's burning, it's falling apart, and you're more worried about your brackets. Get your head in the game. Get your head in the game. You need to know this. Now, speaking of people who've got their head in the game, we've got a Go Team moment here. Jared, we don't have a Go Team theme yet, do we?
I don't think we do.
Do we need a Go Team theme? Or we got Slave State, we got Vagination Report. We're still working on something for the Public School Tyranny Report.
Yeah, we could do. I don't know. Why don't we take some suggestions?
Yeah, we did. We were going to do Public School Tyranny. We were going to do Schools Out by Alice Cooper, but Jared said that was too obvious. He said that was too easy, and that would be intellectually lazy on our part. So we didn't want to be intellectually lazy. But this next one comes to us from what seems to be our new favorite state of Michigan. Now, the story itself comes from www.myfoxtampabay.com, but it's not about Tampa Bay and it's not about Florida. It's about Michigan, and, well, it comes to them from their affiliate in Fox News Detroit. And it says, robbers target pizza delivery driver shoots back. Go freaking team. And this is almost a story that's as old as time itself. In large metropolitan areas, you have scumbags that will call to order pizza thinking that the pizza delivery guy has money on him. He's got cash. And so he drives to wherever they are and they rob him. You know, it's not really a new thing. But what do we know about the Detroit area and the greater Detroit area and the chief of police in Detroit? What has he told people? What did he tell people, Jared?
That they endorse carrying, concealed carrying.
Arm yourselves. Yeah. The chief said, arm yourself. It's time for good people to arm themselves against bad people. And that's exactly what this pizza delivery guy did. He said he pulled up. Now, this is one of those Go Team, but you probably shouldn't have done it. And if you read the story, the guy said it seemed hinky to him. It seemed not right. And he pulled up, and he even called his boss at the back of the pizza joint, and he said, hey, you know, this seems kind of like a weird situation here. But he decided to get out and go deliver the pizza anyway, which is when I think they pulled a gun on him. Yeah, I pulled a gun on him, and they're like, give me all your money. So, a guy grabbed him. One of the robbers grabbed him. He was able to break loose, draw his gun, and open fire. He exchanged one of the shots, hit one of the men, and the other two ran off. So, Go Team, arm yourself, be aware. And you know what the owner of the pizza shop, they interviewed him later, and he said, "Well, we're going to establish a policy that if it doesn't seem safe, don't deliver the pizza." Okay, I got you there. But go team. I did tell you what. I'm guessing that there's a lot of scumbags in Detroit. We know that historically, based upon the last census that they did, when people had to fill out the census, said, "What is your occupation?" And I think it was like 28% listed scumbag as their occupation. So there are a lot of scumbags in Detroit. There are a lot of dirtballs. So it's going to take a while to ventilate them and they're obviously slow learners, because it seems like Darren, is it every week we're getting a good guys shoot bad guys in Detroit story?
I think so. I think ever since the dude came out and said to protect yourself, that people are actually listening and doing it.
Well, amen.
Maybe Danny D-Bag Jones should move there and learn.
I don't know. I'm sure he wouldn't. He would probably put up a sign. That's Danny D-Bag. That's just, we need more signs in America. We need more signs. So, hey, go team up in Detroit, smoking the bad guys. Protect yourself. Be prepared to protect yourself. Have the equipment that you need to protect yourself. And it doesn't do you any good to realize at the moment you're being robbed, gee, I wish I had a gun. Gee, I wish I had some training. You might want to have that beforehand.
Speaking of signs, you were talking about signs. I remember when I did the slave state recon, I went to one of the bathrooms up there, and it literally had step-by-step directions on how to wash your hands.
In case you didn't know.
Yeah,
in case your mom didn't teach you when you were 4.
Yeah. I was like, why is this even in here?
Yeah. I'm pretty sure that when I was a wee little baby, that my mama taught me how to wash my hands. Well, the state needs to teach you how to wash your hands, because your parents can't teach you. Only the state can teach you. Now, Jared, how are we doing over there on time, my brother?
We're coming up on 42 minutes right now.
42
so it's
minutes.
About time to wrap up.
Well, I tell you what, let's go ahead and do a potpourri right now. Jared, go to we're going to do a bonus round for you guys right now. Jared's going to go to forums.studentofthegun.com. He's going to go over to the forums section. And I know we haven't hit on it a lot lately, because we've got everything going on. We got Patriot Fire Team. You want to make sure you go to patriotfireteam.com and check that organization out. What we're doing through Patriot Fire Team is essentially, it is a guidepost. It is an information center. It is a how-to. You're sitting out there in America and you're saying, I know something's wrong. I realize that. I realize I should be doing something, but I don't know what. What can I do? What do I have the ability to do? What should I do? Go to patriotfireteam.com. Go to the little sign-up sheet there. Put your first name, your email address, confirm it. And once you confirm it, we will send you the how-to, Patriot Fire Team, how to get started. And one of the most important things in there, besides the, where and why for and so forth, the what is it and why are we doing it, is a recommended reading list. Get on that recommended reading list. And there are certain books, pamphlets, things that every American who considers himself a fan of individual liberty, a fan of the Constitution and the Bill of Rights, a constitutionalist, people that believe that we are a representative republic, not a benevolent dictatorship, okay? There are items in there that you need to read. And it's not a real long list. Maybe there's a dozen books or so on there. But check that out. That's the recommended reading list is worth the price of admission. But in addition to the recommended reading list, we also have our exclusive videos and audio material. And we're actually right now, I've got a special report. And I know some of you guys out there, and you're listening to me and you're like, well, here's what you're looking left and right. And you're like, well, here's what I did. I went on there. I signed up. I got the free newsletter. I got everything. And then I went in the next morning and I unsubscribed so that I'm not on the list anymore. Well, you can do that. You're an American. You can do whatever you want. But I tell you what, you're going to be missing out, because at least once a month, we haven't decided how often we're going to do it yet, but at least once a month, we're going to give you some type of an information download. We're going to give you a special report and so forth. And you guys know that we talked about the Patriot Arsenal and 3 guns that every American patriot should be able to, not only should they own them, but they should understand how to work them, how to operate them, how to shoot them.
What am I doing at forums?
You're going to pull out a random,
Okay.
We're going to give them a bonus. We're going to give him a bonus question, but we're working right now. You know what we've done with Student of the Gun, and it's coming up real soon. In the first week of April, we're going to announce our latest contest with studentofthegun.com. And we're going to be giving away not only a gun, but ammunition to go with that gun, too. And I can tell you, we're not going to tell you what the gun is yet, but I can tell you this. We actually talked to the guys over at Frog Lube, and they're going to be given a frog tube complete Frog Lube cleaning kit that you're going to get with your new gun. And that's going to be for basically everyone who is signed up at studentofthegun.com or the Student of the Gun newsletter, that you're going to be eligible. Now, for the Patriot Fire Team, we want to do something special for you guys, and we want to do something that's related to the Patriot Arsenal, and that's going to be coming up here within the next month. So stay tuned. Pay close attention.
You want to talk about travel for work or revolver frames?
Travel for work or revolver frames? Yeah. Those are my options? Are those my only options?
Well, we've got more, but those are the two that came.
Well, okay, revolver frames. Revolvers have frames, and inside the frame is the cylinder, and my grandpa has a really nice one. And all right, moving on.
Revolver frames. Okay. It says, what are the differences between L, J, and K frame revolvers?
Go to smithandwesson.com.
Okay, how about this travel for work?
Go to travel,
Let's say it's kind of a long one. Don't say it.
Finish it yourself.
Okay.
Go ahead and finish that yourself.
I am sure I'm not the only one. As a consultant, I travel for work for what can be short or long times. I have my Florida concealed carry permit, which is good when I travel to my client in Missouri, but not so much when I head to their office in occupied Illinois. What alternate forms of protection do you suggest for those of us who may work like this?
Okay, great question. Here's the deal. If you, number one, understand what you're doing. If you deliberately go into Massachusetts, into Illinois, into New York, into California, into any of these occupied slave states, you're probably going to be wrong, whatever you do. Now, there's this kind of this commonality in slave areas like Chicago and Detroit, New York City, Boston, Philadelphia, what have you. Most of them, when they make it illegal for you or unlawful for you to possess a firearm, they also throw in there, well, you can't carry this either. We've recommended pepper spray several times because OC is a very good alternate use of force tool. However, there are municipalities and states where you as the peasant can't own it. And generally, the places where you would need it the most, Chicago, Detroit, Boston, New York City, those are the places where it's illegal. And so, unfortunately, I'm going to tell you this. If you go into a state that forbids you to concealed carry, go ahead and look at their other laws, and chances are pretty high that all the other tools that you would legitimately use for self-defense, handheld, the taser, the pepper spray, the whatever, that those are illegal too. And be careful, the length of blade of your folding pocket knife. You're like, well, I don't have a choice. I have to go to Illinois. I don't have a choice. All right, rock on. Just understand when you go there that you basically are being set up as a victim waiting to happen. It just is. Now, what can you use? What in a non-permissive environment? We recommend things like high-quality flashlights, like Surefires or Blackhawks or what have you, high-quality aluminum flashlights to light your way in the night and also use as an impact tool. If you can get away with it, pepper spray. Some places pepper spray.
Pins.
The tactical pens, you're like, well, it doesn't make any sense. Well, if you know how to use it, it can work very well for you. Now, when it comes to launching projectiles, I'm sorry, but a flashlight versus a pistol, you lose. Pepper spray versus a handgun, you lose. You're putting yourself in a position, so you're going to have to be like the cat. You're going to have to be like the house cat that is aware of everything that's going on around them all the time, so they don't get their tail stepped on. We're sorry that you have to go into those places. Every once in a while we venture into them, but we deliberately do not. We had the opportunity to go to Massachusetts here recently, and we deliberately did not go to Massachusetts because in order to do that, we would have had to disarm ourselves. And so we made the decision not to go there because I didn't want to. It wasn't important enough for me to put myself in a position where I was going to be completely disarmed just to visit the People's Republic of Massachusetts. So we decided against it. But it is up to you to understand that. Now, in the we talk about alternate uses of force in the Armed Living DVD, don't we, Jared?
Yeah, we do.
Yeah, we do. You may want to shameless plug here. You may want to pick up the Armed Living DVD from studentofthegun.com. Just go there to studentofthegun.com, go to the gear store, click on it. The Armed Living DVD talks about how, when, and what now of use of force. We talk about lethal force. We talk about non-lethal force or less than lethal force. And what is the difference and how to understand that? And it's not always going to be a gun day. Not every situation, not every problem is a problem that you can shoot. Doesn't mean you could ignore it. Doesn't mean you could be like our friend Harold from South Carolina and just walk away. Although maybe what you should do, I got a solution for him, Jared. You want to know the solution?
What's the solution?
If you have to go to one of these slave states that forbids you to be armed, before you go, contact Harold Mitchell. Was it Harold Mitchell?
Yeah, I think that was.
Yeah, contact Harold Mitchell from South Carolina. He's a state representative, and take him with you on your trip. Because according to Harold, rather than using violence to solve your problems, what you can do instead, when confronted with, a rapist, a robber, murderer, what have you, psychopath on crack, you could just walk away.
Call me wrong, but
You're wrong.
I think that violence is the answer sometimes. You have to meet violence with violence. You can't meet violence with...
It's not always the answer, but sometimes it's the only answer. Well, when let's say you pull up to an intersection and a bunch of animals surround your car and start breaking the windows and hitting you and so forth, what you should do is just exercise the option, and rather than use violence, resort to violence, you just exercise the option to walk away. Just turn your back and walk away. Didn't you know that? Ask Harold Mitchell. Ask Randy Dunn. That's his name, that turd in St. Louis that sponsored the Criminal Protection Act.
Oh, yeah.
The bow tie wearing turd who thinks that you should flee, that citizens should have to attempt to escape or flee before they should be allowed to use force to defend themselves. So, hey, maybe you might want to do that. Spend a little more time in St. Louis or South Carolina, and maybe you can. I haven't yet mastered that art of turning my back on the felon and walking away. But hey, I'm not an elected member of the House of Representatives, so I might not know what I'm talking about. Well, gentlemen, ladies, gentlemen, all of you out there in the Student of the Gun audience, we certainly appreciate you being with us this week. We certainly appreciate you taking the time out of your busy week to listen to the sound of my voice and all that we have to say each and every week. And I guarantee you in the next 7 days, we're going to have a lot more to talk about. Don't forget about Student of the Gun TV, Dish Network, 266, 9 o'clock Eastern, every Monday night. Check it out. Go to studentofthegun.com. Go to thepatriotfireteam.com. If you're one of those people, you're like, I know I should be doing something, but I don't know what. Go to thepatriotfireteam.com and check it out. If you're an iPhone guy, if you're an iPad guy, if you're an Android guy or girl, you can go to the Google Play Store, download the Student of the Gun mobile app for free, thanks to our friends at Century Arms. If you're an iTunes or an whatever guy, go ahead and put that on your iPad, on your iPhone 5. Just go to the iTunes store, download it for free, for nothing. Again, thanks to the folks at Century. Now remember, you are a beginner once, but you should be a student for life.